everyone. So yesterday we talked about some different kinds of homes. Can you remember some of the homes that we read about in the story? What were some different kinds of homes that we saw in the book yesterday? Now today we're going to talk about buildings because we might also see buildings around our neighborhood too. So we're going to see some different kinds of buildings in this book called Buildings, Buildings, Buildings. So before we start, can you name any kinds of buildings that you know? And then we're going to see what other kinds of buildings are in the story. So, what is a building? A building is a place that shelters people or things. Your community is full of all kinds of buildings. They provide a place for people to learn, work, shop, travel, or play. So think about where you live and think about some of the buildings you might see when you walk around or when you drive around. First, we have a school. You learn in a school building. A school can be big or small. You go to different school buildings as you grow up. Let's look inside. So here's the boy going to his school building. And here's inside the school. What are the children doing inside? They're building too. Libraries are built for learning. One thing all libraries have in common is lots of books. So let's look inside a library. Here we are inside a library. Have you ever been to a library before? Next, we have a grocery store. You can shop for food in a grocery store. A grocery store can be a little shop on the corner or a huge supermarket. Let's look inside. Here is inside a grocery store. So have you ever been to a grocery store with your mom and dad? And maybe you went shopping with them before. Next is a post office. A post office is a building where workers send mail all over the country and the world. Big post offices in large cities handle millions of pieces of mail each year. Even a small town post office handles mail in large numbers. So let's look inside a post office. This is inside a post office. Next, we have a hospital. A hospital is a building where doctors and nurses work. Hospitals have patient rooms, operating rooms, recovery rooms, and rooms full of special equipment for saving lives and treating diseases. So this is a hospital. Let's look inside. This is inside a hospital. Adults go to work in many different types of buildings. A huge office building has many small offices inside. A factory has large rooms with machines. Factories make everything from cars to toys. So adults go to work in buildings. Maybe you can ask your mom or dad, what kind of building do they work in? And now let's look inside a factory. So here we have a car factory where they make lots of different cars. These are special buildings where journeys start and end. At an airport, passengers get on and off planes at big buildings called terminals. Trains and ships have terminals too. So let's look inside. We're going to look inside an airport. Do you like sports? Millions of people do. Cheering fans play basketball, arenas, ballparks, and football stadiums. So let's look inside. This is a football stadium. Some buildings were made for sharing beautiful art and music. People hear music in concert halls. They look at art in museums. The buildings can be beautiful too. Let's look inside This is inside a museum. Have you ever been to a museum before? And what did you see inside? Our country celebrates its history and heroes with buildings that are monuments and memorials. The Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. honors President Abraham Lincoln. So let's look inside. This is the Lincoln Memorial. That's President Abraham Lincoln. Every building has a special job. Can you guess what these buildings do? So let's take a look. Anyone know the name of this building? This is called a lighthouse. And what do you think a lighthouse does? How about this? What is this building called? That's a barn. And what is a barn for? And down here, what is this called? That's a gas station. And what is a gas station for? So there are lots of different kinds of building all around the town, right? So today I want you to think about the buildings we saw in the book, and maybe you could think about other buildings that you see around your neighborhood. And you can try building some different buildings today with maybe some blocks you have at home or any other toys that you have at home. You can try to make some nice buildings.